Uh, a favorite interview question most of the times people do ask us is that uh, about collections. So remember that the collection is not just like linked list or array list or something, the collection is basically a hierarchy, and the hierarchy starts this way. First, you get on the top keys interfaces. One you see in the green button interface. So iterable is an interface, which you usually use to iterate a collection. When we had JDK 1.2 and all, uh, we used iterator to iterate through any collection class. So iterable is the first interface. Then you have the collection interface. Yes, this was also available in JDK 1.2. Then you have the list interface, you have the queue interface, and the set interface. So remember one thing is this picture does not come to you when you give interviews. You are heavily pressurized, right? And suddenly ask you, hey, what do you think? Where do you put yourself in the scale from 1 to 8? Java. You are forced to tell, right? If you have worked for a lot of years, then you can say, hey, I have put me in somewhere 8 to 9, right? Then they'll ask you what is uh, how much knowledge you have about collection. Tell me one example where you really have implemented a collection, and then you say, oh, what is this? I remember only one, that is list is equal to new array list or something. I don't know anything beyond that. Now the interviewer starts thinking that, oh, you are really hands-on. Have you worked? So that's the kind of question he gets when you give this answer. So let's go through this. Remember that collection starts with interface. So we have iterable interface, collection interface, list interface. Again, queue is also an interface. Remember this, queuing and dequeuing is needed for messaging systems. And people, when they start claiming that they know middleware, they are supposed to know something at least about these collections, like queue and dequeue. In my further videos, I will take some examples on how to use that. For now, you need to know that these are interfaces. Queue is an interface, dequeue is an interface. Now, the priority queue, which is shown here, is actually a class implemented from interface. So you know that a Java class, you know, a concrete class can extend to an interface or it can implement an interface. So we will talk about that also later, of how you implement a class, using a list. So this dotted arrow means that the priority queue is implemented with the interface queue, and we'll deal with an example there. Then we have the set also, right? Set is again interface, and the sorted set is also interface. But you have a hash set. Hash set is implementing the set interface and it's making a concrete class. Similarly, linked hash set is also implementing a set and it's making a concrete class of linked hash set. Now you will ask, what's the difference between hash set and hash set? So we will deal with that also with examples. Then you have a sorted set. And again, these are interfaces, right? These interfaces are derived from set interface. How do we derive it? That also will deal with an example. Then we have navigable set, which is also derived, from the base class set. That is, from base class you derive sorted set, and from sorted set you derive navigable set. Then you implement a concrete class known as tree set, which is going to implement navigable set. Similarly, here you have array dequeue, right? Where you are going to uh, implement the concrete class array_dq using the dq interface. So now list is also an interface, and the concrete class which is implemented, which is favorite of a lot of people, is array list. So you say array list my list, then you say new array list, then you say my list dot add, and start adding the elements. This is usually you do. And then you have a vector also, which is implemented using interface list. Then you have linked list also, which is implemented. Then you have stack, which is a concrete class, which is implemented with the help of vector class. So this is in short about the collections. Let's deal with a small example. Let's not go immediately. Let's start with a very simple thing, right? Let's go here and then let's take a very simple class as this is there, right? Let's copy this to an Eclipse. New class, and then you say est, finish it. It's the code here. Rename your class. Now, what I am doing here, I am using a collection. The collection what I am using here is again a concrete class, right? What do I mean is that I go here, I'm using this array list. So let's go back to our Eclipse. And here, what I'm doing is I'm declaring a basic Java class. Then, you know, inside the main, I am declaring an array list. But observe this something, right? This is a parameterized, collection where I'm saying that my array list will always have the object integer. Okay, and what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add all of these integers to it. So I instantiate the class here, the integer, and then I keep on adding the elements to this, like I've added 10, 12, 25, 19, 11, 3, and then I'm just printing the array list on the console. Then I'm just removing the first element and the fourth element, and then I am here again, printing this, right? So always you have remember this that you you remember the basic syntax that this is array list as a class, and then to have this array list as a class, you need to import something, right? So import java.util.star. When you do this, you actually include all the interfaces, all the classes related to this collection. Now, it seems that when I'm taking this video, I just copied the code from somewhere, and showed it to you. So what's the fun? Let's write actually an example from scratch, right? So let's say file, new class, basic array list 2. Okay, that's fine. Now, as usual, first what we do here is that let's take our class here, public static void main. Now, what I'm going to do here is that In this class, I'm going to declare the main as it is. Why I'm declaring main here is that because how to instantiate and run this. I'm making this a standalone Java program. Okay. So in a standalone Java program, I declare a class. This is my class, right? Inside the class, I'm writing a main and just close this. And then I'm just going to say array list, my list. Let's see what it will accept by default. I don't want this. I don't want to add objects. So what I'm going to do is my list dot add. Does it accept string? Let's see. My list dot add permission. Okay, and then my list dot add by z. Okay, so I added strings to this, right? String is nothing but a group of characters, right? And then what I want to do, just like this, I want to display this system.out.println. Let's try to print this and then see what happens. My list. Can I print this? Okay, I finished everything. What does the result give me? Let's see. Okay, so I made an array of list where I put the names Anil Ramesh XYZ, my list, and it displayed this. So this is basic display of the most easy collection. My next episode we will go through more of them, you know, but the objective of making this is that a lot of people face interviews and I want them to their interviews to become easy. If you like the video, subscribe my video. Thank you, and see you in the next collection class.